Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Book of Demons. My name is Wilfred. Now this is an edited video. I've attempted a large dungeon meant to be 52 minutes long, and I compressed that into an 18 minutes videos. Not bad actually for a game because normally if I want to edit a video and bring all the action together, there's a certain ratio to it. So different game have different kind of ratio. Like for example, It Lurks Below could be rather low, so I could use like a 2-hour footage and I get about 15 minutes of action. I can show it to you, or 15 or 20 minutes. When it comes to Diablo, likewise, quite a lot of action, but it's not really that much. But when it comes to Book of Demons, there's quite a lot of action. Then I focus on the key moments, the boss fight, and the moment when I need to sort of like change my cards and so on. And I think it's rather interesting to show a little bit of the game. The game doesn't stop when I change the card, it slows down, so it is very much like real-time kind of thing. So enjoy the background while I talk about a very interesting topic from one of the viewers. So a special shout out to Olivia Benton, who asked me what is the reward for running the higher content. And what's the point really except for the challenge? Or why do we want to play this game and work on the higher difficulties, or at all keep playing this game? So I'm going to have a short answer to it, just in case for those who can't stay for the entire duration of the video, which is around 18 minutes. But I also have a longer kind of like discussion on that, because replayability from a game design perspective has always been part of my passion. I play a lot of games and I like to sort of like understand how a game is being designed, why some games are so addictive, why some games like hook you in and keep playing and so on. So I think in short, for this game, playing higher difficulties is actually very fun. Not only for the challenge itself, mainly because this game is designed for the mid-core player, not those who are casual, meaning that you just want to play a game to relax. No, it's not really a game for relax, although it could be quite relaxing sometimes. It is not really for the hardcore player, meaning that you don't need to invest a lot of hours just to be good at it, or collect the gear. You don't need to invest a lot of time researching just to understand how the game works. The game is very intuitive. There's no uncertainty in reading the game. When you read the cards and you read the function of the card, you understand immediately what they do. And when you face the mob, different mob type will have different kind of like things against you, and you are very much clear what it is. So you don't need to read a guide per se, although some guides on my video channel will give you a head start on how to play this game better from day one, but you don't really need that. You can learn everything on the fly. So in a way, yes, it is mainly for fun. You play a game for fun after all. A game shouldn't be like work. So I'd like to just go back a little bit. So that is a short answer, by the way. So thanks, Olivia, for asking the question, and I welcome any question you have for this game, for any game, or for me, or for whatever. All right. Now the longer answer to this one, I'd like to go deeper into the game, like in terms of goals. What are the goals for Book of Demons? But before I get there, I'd like to contrast to some of the games that I have played, and many of you may have also played, and to just think about the so-called replayability. So it is a very interesting topic, because a game can't be designed for infinite content. So at some point in time, something has to repeat. And how to make people still playing the game on repeat, right? So if you go back to the Marvel Heroes Day, which a lot of you follow my channel because of the game, you devote a lot of time farming gear or XP. Why? Because by having better gear, you have better efficiency to do the content. So you spend a lot of time doing the same thing. Like for example, the Curse Terminal is a very classic case. Everybody wants the Gem of the Curse, which back then was one of the best artifacts to have. You have a lot of crit damage, brutal damage, whatnot. So everybody wanted that, and the journey to get there is actually not fun. You think about it, the terminal is very static. Every time you go into the terminal, it is exactly the same layout. There are 3 lieutenants for each of the areas, 2 of which, there are 4 spawning points, 3 lieutenants, you get it. Then you spawn a boss, and the boss mechanic is exactly, it's by and large the same. I think towards the end they added some kind of like randomness to it, but by and large it's a very much similar experience every time you tackle the dungeon. or the terminal until the gear drop and you say, hey, you know, not bad. And after that you say, well, but I've got another 52 heroes, so I need to do it more. So the journey itself wasn't fun, but people still keep doing it because they wanted some gear items that to make their farming efficiency go up so that they can farm more gear. So it's more like you keep doing the same thing again and again, but you do it a little bit faster, and that becomes the fun of it. So that at the end felt like work for many of us. I think towards the end was a little bit boring, but it's understandable. World of Warcraft is a little bit different. It's the same thing. You do the same set of dungeons. They throw in some objective here and there, some daily, some weekly, whatever. But the fun part of the World of Warcraft is more about the people, that the mix of it, different classes that mix into the group may have different kind of like outcome to it. Some may give you a delight kind of mode, like, oh yeah, I mean, this is a good group, we should stick together. Some of which is really like, you know, oh no, that is not really a good group, and we just go through the motion. But so that is the so-called replayability. It also fails in some sense because after a while people get it. It is kind of just grinding for gear. To do more gear, and after that all the gear get reset. Whatever gear that you collect become not that good anymore, and you end up you know, farming new content for new gear. So that become the so-called replayability on the World of Warcraft kind of way. Diablo 3 is somewhat the same. There are seasons, then you keep doing the same kind of journey. Every season, you pick a different class, different build, but in the end, very much to the progression itself. Then, you know, at the highest tier, you keep doing bounty, you collect material, you keep crafting, hoping for the better affixes, hoping for the primal ancient with the right affixes, and then with that, then you could do even things faster. So that is yet another kind of like a replayability of the design of, say, Diablo 3. Path of Exile is always a very interesting game to me, though not something that I could play all the time for various kind of personal reasons. But I can understand it. I mean, you know, the game itself is very interesting. There are many different kind of like builds, but you can't really experience that freely. There's a gate to it. There's a cost into sort of like redoing your build or gear. You can do it, but there's a cost to it. And normally, you know, if you have not really that much time at hand, you can't really experience that much build and so on. So there is a gate there to stop you from trying too much and get bored. But you keep revisiting the game, trying out new build and so on, and you keep farming orbs to buy gear. So that is the whole so-called replayability. And the good thing about that game, of course, they're throwing a lot of new content as well. So now, then back to Book of Demons. So where does it stand? So like I mentioned before, Book of Demons is a very new age kind of ARPG. I think it is a game that is well beyond what the current ARPG is. So if you look at the current ARPG, right, it is really about collecting gear, assigning attribute points, deciding where the passive trees are, and you know, different games may have different variants to it, but at the end, if you just sum everything on the table, it's just a set of stats that translate to some formula, and a set of you know, kind of like ability or power that interact with each other. That is about it. So what Book of Demons does is that, well, you know, why do we have to limit ourselves to wearing a pair of boots and a pair of gloves and, you know, a shoulder items and head item and so on? Why not give you the opportunity to just use any power or ability or passive that you want? Now there's a limit to it, up to a number like 10 card slots, but within this 10 card slots, you can design your heroes to have different kind of consumable to it, different kind of potion, different kind of like active ability, different kind of passive ability, and each one of them can synergize with each other the way that you want. So why limit ourselves to the very rigid kind of like design of one head item, one chest item, one glove item, one pair of boots, one left weapon, one right weapon, right? And so on and so forth. Why do that? Why not just keep it simple and just like do it this way. You know, and by having a set of cards, like, you know, or 10 of them, some of them could be linked, like synergized with one another. It is kind of answer the kind of itch that people have with the Path of Exile. Now, Path of Exile is very good because some here we have different kind of like dam to it, whereby you can link them together, and when the dam are linked together, they interact with each other in a way, they synergize each other, right? So same thing for Book of Demon. All the 10 card slot, they are all linked together in a sense, some of which synergize with each other. Some of them deal a lot of like massive fire damage to everything around you, but also hurt you. You could have gear that will negate the kind of like things, and so on. So it become the fun of it. It come from there. So now, what are the goals, right? Knowing what this game is, what are the goals? The goals, number one, of course, is to finish the story. The story mode to me is a tutorial. It doesn't take long to take down the first boss. It probably take about 1 or 2 hours. Then you get the first boss. Maybe a couple of more hours, second boss. And then, you know, within 10-15 hours or so, you finish the whole story. 3 bosses, I think. They may have changed the game since the early access, but from what I recall, it didn't take long to finish the story. But finishing the story is not the end game. The first goal is to finish the story. The second goal is to reach a level cap, which you have to continue to play after the story. They can go deeper and deeper into the depth of the underworld. So you can also collect cards. So like I mentioned in previous video before, cards have different kind of rarity to it. So they're common card, white in color, magical card, blue in color, legendary card, and that is the purple in color. So each card type will have 3 variants. 3 types. Then each type will have multiple variants. So within the magical one, there are different kind of like, some may heal you, some will do extra damage in that scenario, some may do this and that. Then legendary, same thing. The more the higher the tier, the more affixes that you can interact with each other, right? And then you could also upgrade a card from rank 1 to 2, level 1 to 2 to 3. And each time you level it, it brings different kind of functionality inside of it, together with the cost as well. So the game becomes very varied because you know, although there's only a set number of card types that you have, but each type will have a different variance to it, and you can bring different variants into the game. Sometimes some of the variants may not become obvious to you. Like for example, one card will say, you know, the functionality of the card, the secondary affixes could be the left card cannot be disabled by a boss, or the right card cannot be disabled from a boss. Then you say, why is it so you know, important? You know, some of these cards you won't even use it in your normal, but for higher difficulties, this is how this game works. So at a higher difficulties, you have to bring a certain number of cards into the game. Those are mandated, picked up by the game. So you know, everyone will have their build, their perfect stack. I mean, I do have. You know, for like, these are the things that I will always bring along, and you know, depending on situation, I may swap some cards out, but by and large, like 80% of the time, these are the cards that will stay. But what the game at a higher difficulty would do is to mandate certain number of cards that you must use, like these 3 cards you must use, or these 4 cards you must use. Now that brings another dimension of game, because once 4 cards are being picked by the game, you have to synergize in a different way. You have to change your play style. Some of the mobs could be really lethal to you, and some of the mobs can be a lot, like, you know, easier. So you don't know whether it's work against you or for you. Also at the high difficulties, the bosses will disable your card by random. So for example, you may bring in with 4 cards that is being mandated by the game because of higher difficulties. Then what you've done is that now you mix around with another 6 cards and say, okay, fine, this is the build I'll go in. I should more or less like have enough DPS, get enough defense. But guess what? When you face a boss, they disable randomly your hand, and then you have to swap some cards out. Now things are being mandated by the game at the beginning of the game cannot be swapped out, so you're stuck with lesser card, and you swap out whatever card that you can, and that become a real constraint, real difficulties that you have to deal with at the higher difficulties. And also at the higher difficulties, when your character dies, you lose a card. you know. So you don't want to keep dying as well. You want to, like, you know, like right now I don't want to keep dying because I want to keep all the prizes to exchange at, you know, at a less frequent interval, because there's a cost in claiming the prizes. But at higher difficulties, that is even beyond that. You have to stay alive so as not to lose a card. So so all in all, these are just some of the part of why this game is so exciting and so fun. And now then you say, so what? I mean, you know, yeah, I may enjoy it. Well, I mean, you could go as deep as you can. You can test your build as much as your knowledge, you know, how fast you can clear the dungeon and so on. But you know, I think the end goal, right, at least in my opinion, is to play the hardcore mode, which is roguelike. So, and roguelike is a true test of your skill and your knowledge of the game, to be able to take the character as far as you can. So there's a leaderboard, then the letterboard, sorry, it will keep track of how many level of hell you have descended into, because each time you play you could like go deeper and go deeper. And I think there is well, at least for early access during beta, now it's a full game. During early access they broadcast how far the character has gone to without dying. So that is one. And of course, you know, for those who are streaming streaming the game or play via Steam Live or whatnot, the developer has developed some plugins so that your audience can join your game as well. Not only do they watch you live, they can interact with you. They can make your life a lot more difficult, a lot more pleasant, depending on how much your audience love you. So that is just the beginning, because this game is still under, you know, a lot of improvement, and it is only the first book from the I think that's what the developer's name is. They want to recreate some of the classic in a way that they want it. Like for example, this is like a Diablo kind of inspired game, but they want to do something for other inspired game in the past, and they will continue to work on it. I think they have 7 projects planned, well, at least they have the vision of doing that. But I think how far they can go with the company with all this game development, I do not know. But having seen Book of Demons, I really have extremely high hope on what they can do, because this is a really fun kind of game. They take this genre. I mean, I like games that redefine genre. This is not like a Blizzard, they copy what's out there, the best, and then make it their own. This is really redefining the genre, you know, taking us away from the grinding. You know, things shouldn't be that hard to like spend time and grind. It makes the journey a lot more pleasant. It makes every encounter you have to think. You cannot use the same set of power, just click through the thing. You cannot watch YouTube while playing this game. No, you can't. You have to think through every combat. You know, with this kind of mix of mobs, do I use this arrow? Do I use that arrow? Do I use this passive? Do I use that passive? I have a choice. Do I unfreeze myself, or do I just live through it because there's no danger around me? So every moment is a thinking moment. Every moment is a moment whereby you just have to you know, make decision. It's not something you just sit back and play. So I hope you enjoy this video. It's a little bit long-winded in a sense, but when it comes to game design, it's always very close to my heart. I like to talk about it because while I do not have the gift of being able to program a game on my own, but I have always been wanting to sort of like do that kind of thing. So every time I play a game, I view a game from the angle, like, what is the design behind it? Why do they think about doing things this way? And I would say that for Book of Demons, you know, if I lay that out and compare to all other games, even the indie game I've seen, this is one of the most well thought game I've ever seen, on every single small detail, even exiting the dungeon without having you to go walk through the entire bits and pieces, because you have already discovered the exit. You retrace back to finish your task, and why should you go back and walk back all the way to the exit? So every single thing they have done is basically very much like they think through it. So I really like it. And by the way, these are all the reward after doing a very large dungeon. It mentioned it was a 52-minute kind of dungeon, but I managed to do it within 46 minutes without talking through all these things. So I beat the game go by 5 minutes. Quite happy about it. So normally when I come back, I will look through my cards, and this is another variance that I've got. Some of them could be just adding an attribute, be as mana or health, and you know, some of them could be just runes, and runes are there to help me to upgrade my cards. So as always, any question for this game or for any game for my channel, for me, more than welcome to drop that in, and I'll be more than happy and try to answer that for you. So till the next time we see each other, goodbye and have fun.